Half a day and welcome to 500 years and 500 seconds with the Force and John Barber of Fokai Amphibious Division and of the Agana Boat Basin. A lot of people have seen, on a lot of the products that we have here at the shop. You see a lot of photos, a lot of the underwater and sunset photos. A lot of these come from a guy. These photos come from a dude who we've been surfing with now for the last 10 or 8 years. And his name's John Barber. Not only is he a water photographer, he is also a charger. Started surfing, as we understand it, from Marine Lab, took his talent over to the Agana Boat Basin, and then he started to make breakthroughs in his surfing when he started going to Pohnpei and chasing that famous Paliker Pass. P-Pass. So regardless for what limited waves surf we have here on Guam, Barbs has been able to take it to another level. Also competing before, Barbs, was it in the Pipeline Invitational? Which contest was that at Pipeline?
Recently, last year, before COVID, was able to jump in on the Pipeline Invitational. And got to get experience surfing there and competing at one of the best waves in the world. And then also before that, we were me and another local, Jonathan, San Diego, competed out there. So yeah, I've had the opportunity to go out and represent Guam there.
So what was it like, not just in representing Guam, but also in surfing Pipeline? We've seen photos of that contest. That didn't look too user friendly, and seen a great photo that looked of you, I guess, must have been at least a 10-foot wave. How was that session?
Yeah, it was pretty radical. Got out the day before the contest, and it was like incoming swell. I think it was like 12 to 16 foot by the evening. But yeah, I got up to like probably 12 foot and pretty much dumping pipe. It was really north, so it was kind of like direct, but yeah, intense. Nothing but respect for that wave, and want to have another go at it, because I feel like that's a wave you definitely got to put in your time to really do well out there. Yeah, can't just jump out there. I mean, you could, but it's a lot more difficult than it looks.
Yep. Pipeline's been pretty famous for its shallow reefs, but some people would even argue that Guam is even shallower than most other places around the world. How was surfing? You surf left side boat basin around a lot. How was that surfing, being experienced with that? How did that prepare you for surfing Pipeline?
Just that left side boat, when it's big, it's same kind of thing. You just got to go and charge the wave and pull in. I would say the reef in Guam is a lot more sharper, maybe more lively, the coral. Pipeline, it's shallow there too, and pretty heavy reef, but seemed a little bit more, not so much alive, the coral. It's more like slabs, volcanic rock almost. But thankfully I didn't have much contact with the reef out there, so I'm not 100% on what that surface really is. And a lot of times when it's breaking big, you can't really see the bottom too much unless it's like really low tide. But I'd say, Pipe, it's a lot bigger playing field than Boat Basin. Boat Basin kind of breaks the same, where Pipe has the sand factor, and it gets kind of like, it can change like overnight, And so, knowing what the boat's doing, where the sand's at and everything probably helps a lot, and just knowing the wave in general. At Pipe, definitely boat. I mean, I know that wave a lot better, so I feel a lot more comfortable there and confident charging big waves there.
Yeah, it seems that surfing out there in Hawaii, especially Pipeline, it seems like there's a lot more moving water. Makes it eerie, I guess, not being too as familiar with the place.
Yeah.
So besides competing in Hawaii, where else have you competed? I know you were ambitious with your with bodyboarding for a while, yourself and the late Brian Cruz, rest in peace. I know that you guys had set some larger goals and winning local contests?
Yeah, it's always been like to be able to represent Guam and, just, showcase ourselves, but have us represented in the competitive bodyboard scene around the world. It's always been kind of challenging to get out there. It's so expensive leaving Guam and everything, but and the last 2 years kind of like really pushed hard to like try and get out there and do something. And yeah, so it's with Brian too, he's always been kind of like you know, inspiration as far as bodyboarding, and he did really well when he did go out and compete. So always push the same thing, try to get guys and everything to get out and do it. A lot of it, is like the local competition, it, done that, and like you want to do more and try and compete elsewhere. Uh, yeah, it's feel like still a lot of opportunity for us, to go out. It's just right now with COVID and everything, it's like the bodyboarding, competitive bodyboarding, kind of like there's always opportunities out there. You just got to find a way to get out there.
Yeah, for sure. So I know that you've also been chasing, I mean, besides all the other places you've been competing at, we've also seen you chasing Paliker Pass a lot. Can you tell us a little bit about your experiences surfing that wave?
Yeah, so P Pass, I mean, that's like probably the best right hand reef break, in the world. One of the best, if not the best. But it holds so well, like big swell, and like for surfing big waves, like P Pass can hold it, big heavy rights, and it's just like it's such a dream wave, it's like always like I want to go there and stuff. But been fortunate, being so close to Ponape. It's just next door. Like when the swells pop up, a little bit easier to get there compared to like if you were elsewhere. But yeah, it's more just like when those big swells show up, it's like it's kind of like pipe. When those big swells come in, like that's when the season is and everything. Same with Ponape. And yeah, Guam get good waves too, but like P Pass just it's something special, and just charging that place, like when it gets big, that's kind of like my cup of tea, like big 8 to 10 foot. It's scary too. That's one place that my heart still kind of like races, where I can't control the heartbeat and stuff. And I kind of like that feeling, sometimes nowadays it's hard to get that unless it's over 10 foot, especially here.
Yeah, what's crazy now, those, I mean, when you look at the photos, right now we're seeing, yourself and only a handful of others are really pushing the limits of bodyboarding and surfing on Guam right now. So it's to the point where we're right up there with everything that we used to see in the magazines. What do you do to prepare for these kind of conditions,
Of course you want to be in shape. You don't want to be getting gassed out and like running out of breath when it's huge, because a lot of times you need to scrape to get over that wave if a big set comes. But I truly think a lot of it mental preparation, just and knowing the tides, knowing the wind direction, knowing what the swell's doing, because waves can be big, but it doesn't mean it's always good for surfing. It could be big and hollow, but dry reef, low tide. But so I always pay attention to the weather factors, and then preparation mentally is probably the big thing. Just not like in kind of panic mode, but like being comfortable out there, so like a lot of it, I mean, you could be out of shape and get super pitted and stuff, but when you get in a bad situation, you want to be in shape, you don't want to be out of shape and then get hurt and stuff. So and the ocean's unpredictable, so just having a little bit of confidence, that plays a big role, especially when charging big waves. Now when it comes to like performance riding, doing airs and stuff, you need to prepare your body more, like especially for doing airs on bodyboarding, stretching and just having good core. That's really important. And in recent months I haven't been in the best shape, as far as my core and everything. And you go out not really in shape, or not stretched out enough. That's how you get injuries. And so been like trying lately, since that last swell, I had a little like incident with my shoulder at left side when it was big. Pretty much just got ragdolled and like stretched out. So, since then I haven't surfed, but I've been like doing a lot of you know, uh strengthening around that shoulder that's been injured. So just doing like some kind of like resistance training and a little bit of weight training. Just started though, but like I should be doing it all the time, just so I'm always ready. And of course I do a lot of kayak fishing and that kind of keeps me in shape. It's a little bit lower core and stuff, but just being out on the water a lot, you kind of stay in shape. And it's like you with stand-up paddleboarding, as long as we're staying active, we're usually ready for those big swells when they do come.
Especially if they happen to be water related, because it kind of just having that constant connection with the water kind of continues that conversation, right? So when it gets big, you don't all of a sudden feel like a stranger coming back to the
Yeah.
water. You feel like, hey, you've been talking anyways. But Bill, tell us about kayak fishing, man. I know it seems to have grown over the years, but I know earlier in the days there was only a handful or less than a handful of you guys, and I remember even seeing some videos. You were just learning how to fish while you were learning how to kayak. It seemed like.
Yeah. Honestly, with the fishing, it's like, kind of jumped in it, not really knowing much. And just over the years, it's just become such an effective way to, catch fish and like, for income, for, just for feeding yourself and feeding others and sharing it with other people. Like it's been such a blessing to be able to go out and fish. But yeah, I put a lot of time into kayak fishing, learning like different techniques with trolling, bottom fishing. There's all kinds of methods you can do. And yeah, like pretty much been able to catch like the most of the fish species be able to catch on a boat, but with a kayak and your fuel, instead of gas, you're using pretty much what you eat because you're using all your energy, whether it's a pedal drive or a paddle kayak, you're pretty much going to be using your body to, get going on the kayak. But it's such an awesome thing. And it's like, as far as surfing and kayak fishing, I'm just as passionate with kayak fishing as I am with surfing. It's such a fun hobby, and it's pretty cool to be able to go out and catch fish that feed people and actually like kind of in a sustainable way, so it's awesome. Yeah, I love kayak fishing.
Barbs, I got a
Yeah, man,
question.
we could. Yeah, what's the question?
Dude, what is it? You said trolling, so so you fish with a boat. I'm sure you've done rod and reel, right? Like just off the coast. Like, what would you say is the main difference with kayak fishing and like regular trolling, like on a motorboat?
Well, the trolling speed. So with a kayak, you can't hit like 7 knots, which is like 8 miles per hour, 9 miles per hour. With on the boat, especially in Guam, the biggest thing for offshore fishing is trolling, and you're usually going 7 knots, running like 5 or 6 lines with lures that a little bit high speed or faster lures. On the kayak, you can't go that fast, so you gotta use lures that go slower, or like live bait or like dead bait. But you pretty much, it's just a slower speed. And yeah, the big difference, you can't go as far out, like you can't go to the banks, you can't go 4 miles offshore. I mean, you could on the kayak, but it's a lot of work coming back. But when the seasons are right, trolling on the kayak, especially like mahi season, it's pretty effective, like using dead bait like squid, like frozen squid, or live bait like catch a tulai or fine fish and then troll that while it's alive. Effective. Yeah. But yeah, so that's the main difference. It's the speed, and then also on a boat you have the ability to troll like 6 lines and like 6 different lures all spread out, and cover way more ground. I mean, like a 4-hour boat trip, you usually cover anywhere from 20 to 40 miles, where on the kayak in 4 hours you'll probably cover like maybe 4 miles, 4 to 6 miles.
Would you say, man? But it seems like when you go kayak fishing, bro, you catch a lot, dude. It's like, does that happen a lot? Is it because it's quiet and like there's no motor, or like is it the live bait, or like?
Well, yeah, it could be. I think the main thing is just knowing what's biting and being dialed in, like, the more you fish, like, so like last year with COVID, I was, especially during the summer when everything was shut down, I was fishing every day. The more you're out there, the more you see what's biting and the more time you put in. And there's just days where the fish are like biting like crazy, and then the next day not biting at all. So like, if you fish once a week on the weekends, you might end up fishing that really good day, but at the same time you might end up fishing on like a really bad day. But if you fish 7 days a week, of course you're gonna catch a day when it gets good. So I'd say there's a lot of stuff. I definitely being dialed into what's biting, what lures are working, what type of fishing methods, like if the bottom fishing's good, bottom fish. If trolling's good, troll. If jigging really working, jig. And a lot of times I figured out I'll go out one day, try a bunch of stuff, don't catch much, then I do some jigging, and then I'm catching yellowfin. Next day I'll go out there and I'll just spend my whole time jigging, and then I'll catch like 4 or 5 yellowfin. So yeah, it's just kind of figuring it out, and then putting in the time, I guess. Yeah.
Dude, what's the
But yeah,
biggest fish you've caught on a kayak?
Oh, man, probably the sailfish, like 100 pounds.
Whoa.
Yeah, I lost quite a few marlin that probably I lost 2 marlin, like really like ones on the kayak. That, I mean, if I caught that, that would have been awesome. But yeah, that sailfish I caught, my first sailfish was like, we chopped it up and weighed it 95 pounds, but we were thinking like, if it was whole, it probably would have hit 100 pounds on the scale. I got buddies though that caught, buddy Jimmy, he caught excuse me, a 105-pound yellowfin down in Agate. Then another friend of mine caught like a 180-pound dogtooth too. Yeah, so like there's no limit. Anything over 200 pounds, so you might be in trouble on the kayak for sure.
Is that because of hauling it in, or is that?
Yeah. Just, I mean, I that like, well, mahi season, like for example, peak mahi season, like last year, I was probably in over 100 pounds, and even some other fish, like when I was going for those school ponds, there were days where we catch over 100 pounds, and like my kayak sink just from the weight, because yes, it's only 100 pounds of fish, but to keep it fresh, you got to carry like, you should be carrying 100 pounds of ice, but I usually carry 50 pounds, like 5 bags of ice. So you combine that, and then I salt water to get a brine going. So I got like 200 pounds in the back, and then I'm like 30, and then all my gear. So the capacity for my kayak's like 400 pounds. So once you start going over that capacity, you're pretty much, you're gonna sink.
And when you're miles out in the ocean, that's not the best thing to do, huh?
Yeah. I've been there, man. It's like, I mean, even if you're only a mile out or 2 miles out, once your kayak like starts going below, it just starts taking in more water, especially when it's rough. So like the last time I experienced that, it was with mahi, and yeah, it was getting pretty low. I kept looking back at my kayak in the back where the kill bag's at, and I could just see how low it was. And when I get to shore, you can see like inside the kayak, some water's getting in through little like areas where it's sealed and stuff. But yeah, so far haven't had a problem. But I mean, if I hooked up like a 200-pound marlin, it'd definitely be a challenge to hook that back in.
What would be your game plan for that? If you hooked up to a 300-pound marlin, you brought it to the boat, would you tag and release it, or would you?
Oh no, because I don't know. For me, if you don't bring it to shore, it's not really caught. But also, I'm really like, I want to catch a marlin bad, and like, if I catch one, I want to actually land it, like, and chow it. Probably share some with whoever wants it. But yeah, like for a 300-pound marlin, I probably hope I'd be able to reach someone on a boat and be like, hey, can you assist me? And then if not, I'd tie it. I usually carry rope, and I tie it and try to drag it. But I've tried dragging fish like that sailfish, and it's just hard, man. Best bet is to put part of it on the kayak and hope that sharks don't come and chomp on it while you're bringing it in.
It's
But yeah,
crazy, man.
yeah,
Dang,
Between
I
big
don't know. You
waves
know,
and
I don't.
big sharks.
dude,
Yeah, I mean,
Barbs,
I'm down if it happens. I'm down.
Barbs. So see this background on me. Is that you,
Yeah, yeah, that was from
dude?
the last show.
Damn,
Yeah. Okay.
sick one, dude.
So like aside from you being a freaking charger surfer, crazy madman, kayak freaking fisherman, like you're a badass photographer. You know what I mean? Like how
Yeah.
what is the is it just as hard, or is it difficult, is it more difficult, or is it easier? Like when you're out, dude, like these guys are catching these waves, but you're there snapping photos. Like, is it
Yeah.
like, it seems more dangerous? Is it?
I think so. It could be. At times, especially when you're shooting surfers, flying right past you with a fisheye lens, you'd be like right in their face. So it could be dangerous. But at the same time, it's like if you know what you're doing, you could do pretty well catching it. But yeah, I've had some pretty scary moments shooting water. Like I've caught by and days like that photo, you see, you're shooting out, like yeah, the waves are coming, you're in the spot, and the creek set comes in and like on the inside and it's unloading on the reef and there's nowhere to go. Like if you dive under, it's like 3 feet of water. I've had that happen and like it gets scary, you could lose your housing, you could get hurt. Yeah, seriously. Like man, in Hawaii, like people die shooting. There's a couple of photographers who died shooting, and yeah,
Why
it's
why 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 photography? I mean, you're so good at it, you're so skilled at it, but like, like what drives you, or what is the motivation behind like getting epic photos?
oh man, there's a lot. I love being able to share what I see there, and like share it with the world. That's one thing, like not everyone can see those angles or like you know uh the wave and everything. When I first started really getting into it, it was due to an injury. I always played with it a lot, like photography, like here and there. But when I got injured, I remember like that's all I could do because I couldn't surf. I tore my ACL in '09, and so I couldn't surf, but I still wanted to capture the surf, like be there on the scene and everything, hanging out. So I would shoot. That's when like so but it provided me like when I couldn't surf, it provided me a way of like surf still there, like from land, like you're riding the wave, whoever's riding the wave. If there's an empty, you're mentally like, oh, somebody should have gone if I went. So it's like you're almost there too, and it's just a way to be in the moment too. And then I think another thing, and this one, like especially lately, I've been thinking about is like being able to capture like someone else's moment. Like these guys, for example, Roman, Carlo, a lot of guys, they've been surfing for like 20, 30 years, since bodyboarding really was like, you know, doing, since ever since. And, they didn't always have guys shoot in the water, like, and get those like surfer magazine type shots. So like, I found that when I started, before I was really shooting, there was other people that would shoot me surfing. When I saw those photos, like man, I was stoked. Like it was like before Instagram and social media, just seeing a picture of me doing what I love and like on a wave, I was like, it blew my mind. So like, I know how it feels. So I see it too with some of these young bodyboarders, like when they see their first picture of them surfing, they get stoked. They really appreciate it. So being able to like, I'm pretty good at it. It's one of those gifts I have. So I need to use that gift also to capture other people's moments. And nowadays I feel like if I'm not out there doing it, there might not be anyone else out there doing it. There's a lot of photographers, but shooting in the water, it's like I feel like I gotta step up because it's like something I'm skilled at. And when we get those big swells like 2 weeks ago, it's like nobody else is going to shoot in the water. But I'm trying to change that. You know, I want more people, more photographers, so that way I could surf. You know, it's tough when it's good, and you know you're shooting, you're not surfing, and that's probably the most challenging part about being a surf photographer and a surfer.
So what's more challenging? Fishing, not surfing, or surfing, not fishing?
Man, honestly, both of them.
I know.
Whenever
The only reason
it's
why
always
the reason why I ask is because everybody knows you. You'd surf. You're like Fred Mendiola. You guys will surf anything that breaks. You know, like on any condition if there's no surf. So we'd see you there. But then it got to the point you got into your kayak fishing. Everybody had followed you online, seen your adventures when you first hooked up to the marlin, seeing you break line, get tangled in your lines. Then now you become proficient with it. But it's in the course of all of that. Now there are days where we're seeing you passing by the surf on your kayak, and then you know now thanks to social media, finding out exactly why when you're coming in with like 10 miles, or sometimes like they call it fishing, sometimes you're not even catching anything. Does that ever detract you from your passion with kayak fishing?
um sometimes, but you know, I'm so used to that. You know, I figured that's part of it. You know, it's like you're gonna have slow days and you're gonna have like really good days. And you know, if you have a couple slow days, it gets really kind of discouraging to continue going out. But I found that you just gotta keep going at it, because um it usually turns around. I mean, I hopefully the fishing, you know, stays good, you know. But yeah, there's days where it's like, what am I doing out here? It's like I could have been doing other stuff that's more productive. Could have mowed the yard, could have did some chores or something. But yeah,
Finish school.
yeah. But then when you're doing all those things, like, man, I could be kayak fishing right now. It's like, yeah. And honestly, like, yeah, right now I haven't kayak fishing like over a month. I think since that last Mauricio swell. So I'm kind of itching to go out fishing, but it's been pretty windy too. There's a lot of, it's not always not catching fish, it's more just the physical side of it. Like it's too windy. Like right now you got like 25 knot winds, and it's just, I'm in June, I can do that, but right now it's like I really gotta motivate myself to even attempt to go out. Yeah.
Okay, well, we've seen you. Okay, so your kayak fishing, your bodyboarding, and you're taking pictures, and of course, we know that you do like a lot of elaborate hiking. When you're not doing any of those, what are you doing?
Gosh, sometimes editing photos, probably, you know, lately I've been like doing a lot of these canvas prints, and you know, I've been building my own frames and been enjoying that, doing a lot of stuff around the house. Just recently got into like growing stuff, like been growing tomatoes, and like uh my parents just got back on islands, so I've been really like, you know, planting seeds for the next, you know, round, like got some bait and all this stuff. But yeah, just like small home gardening stuff. um I'm trying to focus more on the photography side of things, because the fishing's not always reliable for, you know, income and stuff. And I do deckhand on charters sometimes, like I'll crew with different charters. And yeah, so I try to just keep it busy. Like if I know I have a day where I don't have any charters and I don't have any like yard work or thing, I'll set that day for kayak fishing or surfing, you know. Right now it's like my schedule's pretty open, so I'm able to do all that stuff. It's nice.
Right on, man. And you know, of course I know that you don't like to shove it down anyone's throat, but everybody knows that you're a big Christian. Is there anything you might want to say about your faith?
Oh yeah, I mean, gosh, like since I've been a Christian, like, you know, I was one way back in the day. Used to drink a lot, smoke, and just really was like a different person. I just gotta say, like, God's like, man, he's opened up so many doors for me. And like I feel like this kayak fishing, the photography, and even the surfing, it's just like they were all like blessings. But yeah, it's like definitely that's like my main thing too, it's just like, just God's goodness and just sharing that, all things Jesus done for me, and sharing it with the world. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be where I am now if it wasn't for, my faith and just my hope in Christ, pretty much. Yeah. It's definitely, for me, I was heading down a path that was like wasn't a good one. Like probably would have ended up like, I don't know, in a bad situation. Yeah. Drinking a lot before. Like, yeah, it's just changed my life and changed my whole, like, what's important to me, yeah, so there, gosh, yeah, I mean, every day is like thankful for that, it's just remind myself about how blessed we are living on Guam and just living our lifestyles, being able to go out and do all this stuff, so yeah, just thankful about that.
Dope, man. That's a way to stay focused. I think we might be nearing or past 500 seconds. Is there anything, words of advice that you might want to say to anybody who wants to kayak, fish, surf, bodyboard, or take pictures?
There's a community with each one of those things on Guam, and I mean, there's a photography community, there's a kayak fishing community, and there's a surfing community. And with photography and kayak fishing, there's a lot of people that want to help, and getting into it. There's a lot of things on Guam. With kayak fishing, like knowing the weather and everything and conditions and knowing where to launch, there's some Facebook groups that people can point you in the right direction. And with photography, it's like there's a lot of people to help and get inspired by on Guam. A lot of great photographers. I mean, even Frank, freaking killing it too, and Frank's wife too, videographer, like pretty epic. And it's like, yeah, there's a big community. There's a lot of people to get inspired by, and that can help you, if you want to get into it. And I'm always there. Like, and same with surfing, and a lot of family with the surf community too. So it's just like get to know everyone and stay humble, and yeah, you can catch some waves too.
Right on, man. Well, you heard it here with John Barber. You could find his products available here. We're going to have some canvases available here at the shop, flagship store, and you can check out a lot of his work also on FokaiStuff.com with F Sharp and our upcoming summer season. Frank, anything else?
Huge
Right.
fan, Barbs. Hell yeah, dude. Huge fan. Super solid. Okay, I'm gonna bother you about photography, bro.
Dude, hit me up anytime. I've been like doing these. I want to shoot the Milky Way. Like that's the one I've been trying to get. So
yeah. Your night shots are freaking killer, dude. What the heck?
Yeah.
And it just, what it really works out that you when you see your photos, you're not a photographer trying to capture you're trying to capture the galaxy. Like you're a hiker. You're an outdoors person. You're a local boy that just happens to capture it, so that you could see it and you could feel it through the picture. So it's freaking badass.
Yeah, appreciate it. I mean, all those places that I shoot, man, they all got meaning to me, somewhat. The ones that find the best photos are the places that kind of, there's a connection there, whether it's surf or scenic or something, yeah, so appreciate that. Yeah.
Solid Barbs, solid Rome, 500.
Okay,
Shoot.
solid Frank. Right on.
Thanks,
500
guys.
seconds.